When I was 11 years old, I wanted to be a doctor when I grew up. I had this plastic briefcase, these fake medical supplies in it that I would use on my younger cousin for fun. At 11, I affirmed it. I will be a doctor someday. Now I know what you're thinking. There's a brown girl on the stage saying that, but I can promise you, it wasn't forced from my family, but rather inspired by my experiences. See, I was diagnosed with a fractured hip, even though I would tell my family doctor that I have stomach cramps. And as early as my first period, I was having this pain that would drop me to my knees. I always knew that I was just a little bit different from my female friends and family members. Years later, I accepted an offer to start a program at Ryerson University called Metalhead Physics. I was so excited envisioning myself going to medical school, helping other people. In that first year of university, the course of my entire life changed. That little 11-year-old girl was right. 8 years later, those stomach pains grew to daily excruciating pain, sometimes worse than that experienced during childbirth. I spent up to 21 days a month in bed, relying solely on my family to help me with daily activities, paralyzed by the pain. The pain would go from my hips to my knees, piercing through my stomach and striking right through my back. Sometimes I would fall asleep, hoping to escape the nightmare I was in, only to awaken hours later with lead-filled mattress, lonely. I would scream and cry and beg for it all to stop, and I would wonder, why me? Months later, the diagnosis came. Endometriosis, a chronic pain condition where tissue similar to the lining of the uterus deposits and grows in other areas of a woman's body. I thought that sex was supposed to be painful, and that going to the bathroom was always going to feel like a knife was inside of me. My other 19-year-old friends were out partying and dancing, and here I was, struggling just to make it out of bed. I felt like no one really understood what I was going through, and doctors would just prescribe medications as if they were candy, things like morphine and Percocet. I was told things like, the pain is all in your head, or it's just a bad period. After spending so much time missing work and school, I realized that being a doctor wasn't a reasonable option anymore. I felt like a failure. My ultimate goal and purpose was unreachable. I told myself horrible things like, you're such a disappointment and you're worthless. And I believed every word that I said. I felt like I was living just to be. 3 years ago, in a state of panic, I rushed to the ER one night knowing that something else was wrong. There was so much blood. Nothing like I had ever seen before. And I knew that I needed to listen to my body. The staff said that if I hadn't made it there that night, I would have died. Now, I still battle daily, but I developed a much more holistic approach to my healing. I've switched my internal dialogue from I'm sick to I'm healing, and that's drastically altered how I view and treat myself. See, my pain could have been the destruction of me, but I saw it as an opportunity to listen to my body, to work with it, and be in sync with it, rather than be against it. The answer to why me suddenly became clearer. Due to my experiences, I launched a platform and a publication called Evolve, which works to normalize conversations around these taboo topics such as sex and menstruation. Women started reaching out to me from around the globe saying that they resonated and felt connected to the women and the stories that lined our magazine pages. My heart was warm hearing this. It finally made sense. I had impacted everyone, and I was getting to share my story in such a beautiful way. I was so caught up on who I wanted to be, a doctor, that I didn't leave any room for the possibility of who I could become, a writer, a speaker, an entrepreneur, an advocate. The possibilities were endless. I chose to use my pain for something positive and to turn it into something that could benefit people in a different way than being a doctor. Our experiences don't exist to break us. They exist to shape us into exactly who we're meant to become. And when we can embrace those challenges and those struggles and we get through them, we can be pleasantly surprised at the person that comes through on the other side. We can learn that instead of being disappointed that we're not who we planned on being, we can love and accept the person that we actually are. And we can love and accept who we are and where we are in life. Thank you.